Stampin' Gals, this is Jose from StampingJo.com and welcome to another Wednesday freebie. For this card, I am super excited to show you how I did this. It is such a beautiful, stunning card in real life, and I hope you can see that on the video. Can you see the shine on there? It's actually a raised texture. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing you need is a piece of Early Espresso cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And we're actually going to use the Fancy Fan embossing folder. So I'm just going to run that right through. All right, so now that we have that run through the Big Shot, you can see this beautiful pattern on the background. So we are just going to set that aside for a minute. Next, we're going to use some of our Designer Series paper called Typeset. Now this one here is a whole bunch of different newsprint looking designer paper, and it really does kind of feel like a newspaper, which is kind of cool. So we're just going to use that. You're going to see every piece that we cut is a different kind of a different front, and this one was cut to 2 7/8 by 4 1/2. And we're actually going to use our Forever Florals stamp set. So we want to use this big long one, and we're going to use our Memento ink pad. Now the reason being, we're going to be using our Blendabilities markers, and the alcohol-based markers work best with this type of ink pad. So I've inked that up really nicely, and we want to go kind of on an angle like this and give it nice even pressure because you really want to see that black line. Now you can see once we've stamped that, it is a little bit difficult to see, and we want to color that. So I found personally what the easiest thing is to actually keep the stamp case in front of me so I could see where the flowers are and where the stem is. So this is the stamp that we've done. Now we're going to be using our Cherry Cobbler Blendabilities, and as you probably already know, we have a light, medium, and a dark for each color that we offer in the Blendabilities. So I've put them in order, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the light with my brush tip and start to color the whole thing. I did find that it's the easiest thing to do the outline first. So you want to just kind of go all the way down and do your outline. And then once you have some of that done, you can go back in and quickly fill in the middles like that. So I already have one that I did with my first color. So you can see I did my light Cherry Cobbler. And then I used my Old Olive Blendabilities, which is the light color, just to do the stem part. So now that I have the first layer done, I'm going to go back in with my medium color. And I just want to do some of the edges. So there is no perfect science. And I found that it really didn't need a lot of thinking, just to kind of do a few of the colors, and we're going to go back in after with our dark. With the dark, you just want to do some smaller strokes and just keep going all around. So you basically have 3 different colors all with your Cherry Cobbler, and it looks super pretty just like this, but you're going to see the next step that we do just makes it pop right off the page and is just so gorgeous. And even with the green stem, we can go back in with our medium of the Old Olive. Now for this one, I'm just going to use my smaller tip just because it's a smaller space, and just add a little bit of that darker color. To add a little bit more vintage feel to this, we're going to take some crumb cake ink with a dauber and just add some color all around the 4 edges of our paper. Okay, so for the next step, this is the step I love the most. So we're going to use our Crystal Effects, which is a clear lacquer glue, and it can be a thin layer or you can do it a thick layer. So I'm actually just using a piece of scrap cardstock and putting a blob onto there. I had a blender pen that was completely dry, so I figured I use it for this since it has this really nice pointed tip. So what I want to do is pick up some of that Crystal Effects and do the edging first. So we're just going to do the edging. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I'm doing a fairly thick edge to it. So you can go all the way down. And once you have the edging done, it's kind of like what I did with the aqua painters. You can fill in that middle fairly quick. I try and make it about the same thickness everywhere because you don't want thicker on one spot and then a little bit thinner on the other. And I wanted this to be fairly thick. Now this is going to dry clear, but as thick as you do it, it's actually going to stay that thickness. So it's going to literally pop off, kind of like crystal almost. And it makes that color just so shiny and beautiful. So we're going to keep going and do that all the way down. When you're done adding all your crystal effects, you are going to set this piece of paper somewhere really safe for a couple of hours at least, and it is going to dry completely clear and a nice bump. And I say somewhere safe because I had mine on my table and I told everybody to stay off the table, and my darling husband took one of my markers and put it right in there. So let's not do that. Whatever applicator you use, make sure that you clean that off with warm water right away so that that glue comes off and it doesn't make this rock hard. Next, we're going to use some crumb cake cardstock. So this is just some scrap, and I am going to grab my Memento ink pad, and I'm using the For You that comes right out of that same stamp set. We're just going to stamp it and then punch it out using my decorative label punch, and it fits really nicely in there. Just like that. Now again, we're going to take our dauber with our crumb cake ink and just add some ink color on the edging of our tag. And we're going to use our paper piercing mat with one of our templates. And this oval actually fits really nicely around that For You greeting. And we're just going to take our paper piercer and go all the way around and poke our holes. Now to put our card together, we're going to take our layer here, and we've cut a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock to 3 1/4 by, I always forget my measurements, 4 1/2. And we're just going to take 4 dimensionals and put them on the back of that, and then center it in the middle of our bigger layer. And our next step is to take some of our early espresso baker's twine, and we are just going to wind that around. So it's going to go here and here. So I'm just going to put a bit of snail there, start my end over here, and just go around twice. And I want to cross them and then trim right at the back. These are not my ribbon scissors. Don't tell. Shh. And then we're going to take the, you can take some Scotch tape. I just had my sticky strip here, so I'm just going to grab some of that. And you really do want to add something to those so they don't come off. And then to put it on our card, we cut a crumb cake backing, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle. And then we're just going to add the rest of our adhesive and put it on our card. Now you can see I did not put the wet layer on here, so I'm actually going to show you a couple of tips on what to do next. So this is our finished card, the one that's actually all beautifully dried, and it is raised and clear and really shiny. Can you see that? Oh, I just love it. It's gorgeous. So what I did after that completely dried is took again my crumb cake ink pad with my dauber, and I just added a little bit of ink all the way around my flower, all the way to the bottom. It just kind of lets it have a little bit more of a pop, and you do have some spaces in here where your newspaper print is a little bit lighter, and it gives it more of a vintage feel, and I just love it, and I hope you do too. So our layer here was just attached with a couple of dimensionals, and that's it. That is how you do this card. So I hope you liked learning this technique, and I want to thank you once again for coming and joining us on our Wednesday freebie videos. Thanks so much.